Hello everyone, today I'll be teaching you how to draft a long sleeve pattern and a short sleeve pattern. If this is what you would like to learn, please keep watching. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. I'll start by making some adjustments to the front and the back armholes on the bodice pattern. This is to ensure that the armholes are not too tight when the garment is worn. From the front underarm point, square down 2 centimeters and mark. Do the same for the back. So from the back underarm point, square down 2 centimeters as well. Using a French curve, connect from this 2 centimeters point back into the armhole. Make sure it's a slight, just mirror the previous curve. This becomes your new front underarm point. This will ensure that the armhole is not too tight. Okay, so also do the same for the back. Use a French curve and connect from this 2 centimeters point so this is now your new back underarm point. Okay, so if you're going to cut your armhole, you're going to cut through this new curve and this one. Okay, so that's that for the bodice. Now moving on to the sleeve pattern. From the top of the pattern paper, square down 2 centimeters. This is going to be our top line and it's also going to serve as the sleeve head. So this is the sleeve head. To draft this sleeve pattern, we're going to need these measurements: shoulder to elbow, shoulder to wrist, cap height. We're going to get this from a chart. Okay, so I have a chart here. So this model is a size 14. So these are UK sizes, and these are the corresponding cap height measurements. Okay, so this model is a size 14, so her cap height is 6 inches. Next up, bicep circumference, elbow circumference, and the wrist circumference. Measure and mark the midpoint of your pattern paper. Mine is 8 inches. Now square down the length of your sleeve. My sleeve length is 25 inches. So this is 25 inches. Just going to mark this here and rule a straight line. So I have 25 inches as my sleeve length. I'm also trying to get a straight line across. So connect these marks just to get the line for our sleeve length. From the top here, square down the cap height. So for this model, the cap height is 6 inches. Remember, we got this from a chart. Okay, so square down 6 inches and rule a line across. Label this line the bicep. From this point, square down your shoulder to elbow measurement. For my model, it is 14.375 inches. And rule across. Label this line the elbow line. Label this line the wrist line. Next up, divide the bicep circumference by 2 and mark on each side of this vertical line. Okay, so you're going to do that for the bicep line and the elbow line. The bicep circumference is 14.375. Half of 14.375 is 7.125. Measure and mark 7.125 inches on each side of the vertical line along the bicep line. Also do the same for the elbow line. So the elbow circumference we have for this model is 12.5 inches. Divided by 2, we'll get 6.25 inches. So we're going to mark 6.25 inches on each side of this vertical line along the elbow line. We're going to do the same for the wrist line. Okay. The wrist circumference is 9.75 inches. Half of 9.75 inches is 4.875 inches. I'll mark 4.875 inches on each side of this vertical line on the wrist line. Using a ruler, connect from the top of this vertical line to the half of the bicep circumference point. To this point, to the half of the bicep circumference point. Do the same on the other side. Now connect from this point to the half elbow circumference point on both sides of this line. Then connect to these 2 points on the wrist line. Now you're going to decide which side is going to be the front and which side is going to be the back. For me, this is the back and this is the front. So I'm going to label that. So this is the back of the sleeve, and this is the front. Okay. Next up, measure this slanted line and divide what you get by 4. So here I have 23.8 centimeters. 23.8 centimeters divided by 4 is 5.95 centimeters. So I'm going to mark that on this line. I'm going to mark 5.95 centimeters until I get to this end. Do the same thing for the back. Measure this line and divide what you get by 4. We're going to label these points. Okay, so we're going to label this one as the first point. This is the second point. And this is the third point. Do the same for this side. So this is the first point. This is the second point. And this is the third point. Now for the front, from this first point, square out 0.75 inch and mark. From the second point, square out 0.375 inch and mark. From this third point, square in 0.5 inch and mark. That is ½ inch. Using a French curve, connect the sleeve head point to the first and second points. Connect all 3 points. If you can connect them at once, that's okay. If you can't, just connect them one at a time. Next up, connect the second point to the third point, then to the front underarm point. You can connect all 3 points at once. Moving on to the back, from this first point, square out 0.625 inch and mark. From the second point, square out 0.375 inch and mark. And from this third point, square in 0.4 inch and mark. Using a French curve, connect from the sleeve head to the first point and to the second point. If you can do that at once, that's also great. Then connect from this second point to the third point and then to the back underarm point. This brings us to the end of drafting the long sleeve pattern for this model. So to draft the short sleeve pattern, all you need to do is measure the shoulder to the short sleeve length. For this model, it is 10 inches. So from the sleeve head, square down 10 inches and rule across. Next up, divide the sleeve length measurement by 2 and mark that on each side of this vertical line. For this model, her short sleeve length circumference is 13.25 inches. So half of 13.25 inches is 6.625 inches. So I'm going to mark that on each side of this vertical line. Using your ruler, just draw a line from the back underarm point to this point, okay, to the half circumference point. Do the same for the other side. Now we have a short sleeve pattern. All you need to do is cut along this curve, down along the sides and across this line. This brings us to the end of this tutorial. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.